guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. On my way to Tractor Supply with Jezzy. I was already out with her this morning at the park because I had a customer meeting, a lesson to give at the park. So I took Jezzy and I did a small video. I'm uploading that now. And then I'm now in the afternoon, after going home and doing some chores and everything, I'm on my way back to Tractor Supply with Jezzy. As much as I can give her. Right now it's for the car sickness. She ate a couple hours ago. I gave her enough time for that to settle. I've been riding her without putting any food in her belly because I want her to not feel queasy. And it seems like when she's got food in her belly, she does that more often and she pukes. So right now it's trying to see if she's got a little bit more mental maturity where she's not going into the negative state of mind that's causing her to get queasy. Because a lot of times I find that to be the case. Right? In a second here, I'm going to shut this back. Background noise coming from the back is probably too much. Alright, so I just did a video on Jezzy and structural stress, meaning being aware of jumping your dog up and down off of things, right? And being aware of trying to keep it at a bare minimum, and then actually using the toy as almost like a target stick and keep it in front of her face and going from one to the next to the next. So she gets in the habit of using steps and stairs instead of throwing herself off the top of it and pounding to the ground, because it causes structural stress. And over time, that is going to add up to problems with hips, with other anomalies that could be stress because of that pounding onto the ground when you're jumping your dog up and over things. It's important to do that sort of thing and to build confidence with it and do agility, but it's also important to be aware of what that causes stress-wise on the dog's structure, right? So you'll see as a good example of that, the dogs that they have in agility, they actually have rules where they have the touch points where the dog has to touch off of a ladder or a teeter-totter, so the dog has to keep themselves on that and not end up suffering injury because it throws itself off because he's in a hurry because they're trying to do being judged by how fast the dog goes through that agility course, right? So there's a good example of it. In Schutzen, they have those A-frames, and they actually have a lot of guys that have a little bit more experience will actually create PVC pipe. They'll put it on the top and they'll do a round bend and they'll put screws on both sides so you get like an arc, right? And then they do 2 or 3 of those in a row so the dog actually gets conditioned with time to come up, tuck their body up underneath it on one side, then on the other side's another set of them, or 2 or 3 of them, and the dog will go down and go underneath it. So what it causes is for that dog to actually be conditioned to keep their body on the A-frame and not to throw themselves off to the top of it because they can, right? Because of the awareness of structural stress on the dog's body over time that's going to add up to injuries, right? When you do things in a repetitive nature, that's where injuries occur. The repetitive exactness of that same movement again and again and again that will add up to structural stress that adds up to an injury. They know about that in human type of development, in being aware of with the body of the human and doing the same job again and again. Let's say you had to pick up boxes off the ground and load the back of a truck, and you bend down and you pick up that box, throw it in the back of the truck, and you do that 100 times in the day, you're going to end up throwing your back out, or you'll get a pulled muscle or something. The reason is because of the repetition of the movement that stresses that muscle, the tendons, everything else, and boom, pop, and now you have an injury, right? So awareness of that sort of thing is important, right? So when you're dealing with the dogs, you should be aware of that, and you should always make sure that you don't suffer unneeded or unwanted stressors that cause injury over time. So the first step to solving that problem or reducing injury is to be aware of it, and that's why I talk about it, and that's why I'm mentioning it, because you hear me talking a lot about agility and doing a lot of stuff that builds confidence within the dog, but to do that, I'm taking the dog up and over tables, and I'm running from one station to the next, and I'm making the dog walk a wall, all kinds of little things that could add up to the dog getting injured with repetition of pattern that causes the dog to suffer an injury, right? Repetitive in nature that would cause the dog to suffer an injury. Same things happen to us too, right? So All right, so I'm going to go to Tractor Supply, throw her out there. She had one day she was real weak, and all of a sudden she came back strong yesterday afternoon. Some of it was because I did not put her harness on. She doesn't feel as secure without the harness. Put the harness on her, she gets to pull into that. She feels a lot more secure, right? Psychological. Doing everything I can to give this dog a balance and to let her know that she's protected. Same thing with me doing a lot of chattering. You hear me constantly chattering to puppies. The reason I do that is my voice is carrying the dog. It's letting them feel happy. It's letting them have feedback from me and my voice tone and my chattering at the right times and the right moments as I'm taking the dog through flowing, through going from one place to another, jumping on top of objects, doing different things with agility. The goal is to build confidence. But within that, I need to be aware of what's going on with the dog. Read the dog, make sure that she don't have nothing but positive, and read my environment and work the dog through the environment so that it's always advantageous to her growth and development with my goal. My goal is to build strength, right? So it's tricky because anytime you go out, you don't have 100% control over an uncontrolled environment where there's people, other dogs, other people, other environmental things that could add up to having a negative happen, and it could happen that quick, right? That's what makes me a little bit better because I'm very aware of using environment. And it's a practiced art. It really is. It's something you need to be aware of and conscientious if you're going to go out and use environment to build your dog, which is, in my mind, that's what you should be doing. But you need to acquire skills. How do you get those skills? By doing it again and again and again, right? And after a while, and that's why I always tell these kids that come out and say, poof, I'm a trainer with one dog under their belt. They go to a club, they go catch, and then all of a sudden, poof, I'm a trainer. They don't have a clue. Go work with somebody, mentor under somebody, put a year, 2 years, 3 years under your belt working for another person that already has all the kinks worked out, and you can develop as a dog trainer and get a lot of dogs under your belt because every dog is different. Everything that comes at you is going to be a curveball, and you have to compensate. When you have somebody there to mentor under, you have somebody to guide you and help you from making mistakes that you might not otherwise do, or you might do if you don't have that mentorship and you don't have that guidance, right? The reason that I want kids to go out and mentor under somebody. Don't just go, poof, I'm a trainer and think you know it all, right? Because you don't. And neither do I. You know, even with 30 years experience, I'm just a babe in the woods, and I am a professional student, meaning you never stop learning, you never stop growing, and if you're smart, you never stop reaching to learn and grow. All right, that's about it. We're almost to Tractor Supply. Thank you very much, you guys. Mark Ferrasci on Sunday morning, yakking about dogs as always. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.